Okay, that was not smooth, but that's fine. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. We're taking a break from my TBR list and going back to the movies. Literally. I went to the theaters to see Shang-Chi, and it's the second movie I've seen in theaters since reopening. The first being Free Guy with Ryan Reynolds. Side note, that movie is hilarious and I totally recommend it if you're like looking to laugh a lot. But back to Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I have many thoughts and feelings about the movie, so we're gonna start off first with a mainly spoiler-free review. So overall, this movie was amazing. Like, it was definitely keeping with this ongoing theme in Phase 4 about legacies, as well as the prioritization of character development over plot development. Like, if you'd seen the MCU projects from Phase 4, like WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and even Black Widow, you'd see the similar theme and story structure in each of them. So there are times when, yes, the movie felt kind of long because there are a lot of flashback sequences, but they were needed to show Wenwu and Shang-Chi's pasts. But at the same time, there was still a lot of action happening because it is a superhero action film. And speaking of action, the fight sequences in this movie were amazing. I know I keep saying amazing a lot, but it was amazing. There were a lot of different martial arts moves that were prominent in this film, especially in the opening sequence. The fight sequence in the beginning between Ying Li and Wenwu was so beautiful that I couldn't take my eyes off the screen. Their movements were just so fluid and it almost seemed like a dance, and I love that particular fight scene so much. The fight sequences were integral to the plot, and there were many of them between different characters, which was amazing because then we're not just watching Shang-Chi as the only person who beat up dudes the entire time. Going off of that point then, the casting and fleshing out of the characters were so on point. Simu Liu was amazing as Shang-Chi. Like, I knew going into the movie that I would love him, and I did. Shang-Chi was not a one-dimensional character at all, and there's multiple layers to him. I did not expect him to have himbo tendencies, but somehow it works and it made me love him even more.
Shang?
Yeah.
You changed your name from Shang to Sean?
Yeah, I don't...
I wonder how your father found you.
I was 15 years old, all right?
See? Pure baby himbo. But it's not just Shang-Chi that was fleshed out. Wenwu, Xialing, and even Katie all had their own character arcs. None of the characters were one-dimensional, which is great and refreshing, especially with Katie. Awkwafina typically plays the funny sidekick, and while Katie is one, there is more to her character than just that, and her character arc, I find, was one of the more relatable ones in the MCU. Even Xialing, who was a secondary character, had her own arc, which I am very eager to see more of in the MCU. And Wenwu, I haven't seen an antagonist that was realistic and easier to sympathize with since Eric Killmonger from Black Panther. I wanted to hate him for being like such a crappy dad, but he had a sympathetic backstory and the flashback sequences really helped in creating sympathy for him, and he appeared very human and flawed. He's not a monster for the sake of being a monster. There's a reason why he is the way that he is, and the movie portrayed that well. The colors were incredible as well, and they were so beautiful. I'm a sucker for good cinematography, and this movie just aced it in that aspect. The colors, especially in Ta Lo, was breathtaking, and that shade of green now lives rent-free in my mind. Another thing I loved, the long takes. So with action films, a lot of shots during fight sequences were very short to give it like that urgent and intense vibe. But what I loved was that the film wasn't afraid to use a long take, especially in Wenwu's fight sequence when he's first introduced to the audience. I love it because it reminded me of how the Netflix MCU shows, particularly Daredevil, actually utilize a long take in at least one fight sequence per season. It makes the the action feel a lot more elongated, and it's still intense, but it's like you're watching the fight go down, but you're not blinking. I think like that's the best way I could describe long take fight scenes. But overall, this movie was definitely amazing, like not just in terms of plot and characterization, but also in the film style and techniques used. So with that, let's get into the specifics of what I loved and didn't love. Spoilers are coming up, so if you haven't seen the film yet, maybe skip this part of the video. Honestly, there's not much that I didn't like. I mean, there were moments when the movie felt long, but I can understand and forgive it because of the character development. And was there a lot of flashback scenes? Yes, but again, it makes sense because it's there to provide context and backstory, especially to Shang-Chi's upbringing and why he chose to run away from his family. I absolutely loved like the post-credit scenes, by the way. A little overhyped though. I mean, I remember reading on Instagram that audiences screamed during the post-credit scene, and my hopes were up, but I wasn't too wowed. Like, yes, Shang-Chi and Katie are talking with Wong, Carol Danvers, and a D-Hulk Bruce Banner. Curious about the last one, but it didn't make me scream. I hope that they would explain how Bruce was like de-hulked in the She-Hulk series. And then the other post-credit scene with Xiaoling. It's wow, but it didn't make me scream either. Like, she should definitely like gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss the Ten Rings as a treat though. It is interesting that she chose to lead the Ten Rings by herself, and I'm curious to see whether she'd be more like her father as a ruler, or if she has any plans to maybe do things differently with the Ten Rings. So I'm definitely eager to see more of that. Overall, Shang-Chi was an amazing movie, and I would definitely recommend watching it. It's equal parts funny and beautiful and even emotional at times. The representation of Asian people in the MCU was absolutely beautiful, and you can tell that so much love and effort was put into the creation of the story and into the style of the film. I also have seen that Shang-Chi is being introduced as the newest Avenger, and I for one hope that we can at least see him interact with Scott Lang, aka Ant-Man. Marvel, make it happen, please. They're both in San Francisco and they both radiate like the same himbo energy. I want to see the case that these two would like get up to. And that's a wrap on Shang-Chi. My next video will be uploaded in 2 weeks, and it's going to be my review on the Hawthorne Legacy, which is the sequel to the Inheritance games. Thank you so much for watching, and please don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe.